Welcome in everyone to the Challenge After Show tonight. Pamela, Jenna, and we're talking about All Stars Season 3, Episode 8, Going Bananas. That was the title. And I knew right away because we had seen at the beginning of the season, they showed Bananas pop up on the screen and we're like, when does he come in? Why is he here? Is he a mercenary? No, he's there to give financial and motivational advice to Weston. So there you go. That's why he was there.
Because it feels like it was absolutely pointless. He gives zero advice. His advice is look at my naked ass and do what you were going to do anyway.
Yep. Wes already had the exact advice that he had worked out with Nehemiah, and Bananas repeated himself, and we got to see his butt, and it was so ridiculous. Yeah.
Hardy har. That if ever anything sums up Bananas humor, I think that is it. It's like it's crass and stupid and immature and not and like a little dated, but like it'll get a giggle for a second, I guess. Like
if they really wanted
to, right? It's like the same exact brand of humor he's always had. Like he has never matured. And I don't want to be a hater. I don't want to hate on a joke. It's all in good fun, and he's trying to be playful. But I really just rolled my eyes as soon as he bent down, did the bend and snap, and showed his whole butt. It was like. Yeah. Also, that's a lot. Like, detailed look at some of the like finer parts going on there. So it definitely was probably closer than we needed. But yeah, it was just like, oh God, here's Bananas. He can't just go on the show without doing something so over the top.
Couldn't they have come up with a more unique way to use him on this season? And since he didn't want to be a part of it originally, or whatever the reason was, Pamela, I forget what you told us finally. You
hurt his leg, allegedly.
Yeah. Why couldn't they come up with a more unique way, the producers, to use him and make it like bring him actually on the show and maybe, I don't know, have him compete just for fun? I just wanted to see him there. This whole thing, it was a waste of usage of the Bananas name as far as I'm concerned.
Also, the producers must be kicking themselves in the ass because that audio was terrible. And why didn't they put subtitles? It was really hard to hear what he was saying. I also thought he maybe had dip in his mouth because it was that hard to hear him. And it looked like he had like this sort of something going on. So I was like, what's happening?
Weirdly, I was not impressed with the kind of shape his bottom was in. I'm not gonna lie, it looked kind of crappy. It didn't look like I thought he'd be in better shape. Just saying.
The body shaming for me, Dan.
Yeah.
I don't think it's body shaming. I'm just saying I thought he was in better shape.
I didn't evaluate his butt shape, but I'm with Jenna. I tuned out because I was like, oh, that's funny. And then he had to do it again. It's like, it's not that funny. And also it was so terrible, the audio, that I was like, couldn't they ADR that bad boy and just slap it on top of it, like re-record it and put it on top of it? Because it was obnoxiously bad. And as a low to no budget thing, sometimes our audio is bad, and I understand it can be frustrating, but when you're on a real produced program, I was like, come on, take 5 minutes to re-record that.
Yeah.
It's a conversation, but I guess we would have maybe lost out on his G-string if we did that.
And I also would have been interested to hear what Bananas would have done in that scenario, but he just gave one of his stupid cliche, what does he say? You're in the lion's den now. That's not what he said. I'm paraphrasing. It's not at all what he said. That's a ridiculous paraphrase of it. But he gave one of his really cliche one-liners and was like, you know what to do, dude. If you think you go in, then you got to go in. And it was like, thanks for calling in a friend. Thanks for phoning in Bananas for that.
Yeah. I didn't mind, except he did say pride cometh before the fall. Like, don't go in.
That's what it is, yeah.
Yes, which I did think was moderately good. It's like, Wes, don't take the chance at this point. I did think that was good advice. I mean, again, it's a cliche more than actual advice, but I think it's true in this situation. I didn't want Wes to volunteer.
Okay. So however, I'm just going to go through my brain here. This is why I think I said Lion's Den, right? Because he said Pride, and I'm thinking Pride Rock, Lion King.
Right.
So that's where I got that from.
Makes
completely inaccurate.
Well, moving past the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire Lifeline that Wes called, our big things tonight, we just mentioned it. One is, what the hell are these stars? And the other thing we learned tonight is that Veronica is going home because she fell down the stairs going to a party. That party in the scene we saw last week, but how come they didn't show us her fall? Like, where was that footage? The cameras are on her. I don't know why they didn't show it. I'm very I want to say there's a conspiracy. I couldn't really figure one out, but where is that footage and why didn't we see it? They showed her walking down the stairs. They say, oh, I fell going down the stairs. They show her walking down and they cut away. And that was it. I was very confused.
Now,
There could be a conspiracy, maybe it was a bad fall. Maybe it was, I don't know.
They showed her bruise.
They had a wire, right? Like, what if it was like a production cord? Again, I'm really reaching for the conspiracies. I honestly think that they just weren't around to film it. I just don't think it was captured.
All right. I find it hard to believe, but yeah, there it is. Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Are you too disappointed, I guess, is my next question, because I could care less. But yeah, what did you ladies think of that?
I'm disappointed. I like her. She's fun. I didn't want to see her go out like that on a toe, but we'll see her in 38.
Is there any chance she was, I don't want to say it has anything to do with the helicopter jump, but could you see her flying out of that helicopter safely, or would she have gotten hurt?
I think she totally would have done it. Yeah. Oh, with the broken toe, you mean? Well, yes, what was interesting is, I don't want to say I'm doubting that she has a broken toe, but she also seemed to be walking really well and fine. And it seemed like the whole setup for it, I kept thinking that they were going to say, but guess what? You can still compete, because I felt like the lead up to it was so dragged out, and they kept showing TJ and they kept saying, I'm really sorry, Veronica. I'm really sorry, Veronica. Veronica, you can't stay. And I was like, what? This just feels really disjointed. It felt really dragged out, and it was like unclear at first what road it was going down. It felt like a really almost dragged out then anticlimactic exit,
Totally agree. I have a super conspiracy here. Do you think that Jordan, because we know Jordan and Veronica allegedly are on season 38. Do you think they were like, we got to get y'all out of here? Jordan challenged someone big. Let's make it so Jordan probably will lose. Let's make something where a grip, super important. Let's double up on that. And Jordan go, oh no, I didn't do the greatest. Bye. And Veronica, oh no, I broke my toe. They're just getting him out to go.
They filmed this a long time ago, so it didn't overlap, because when Wes,
damn, you had me. Yeah. I was so into it. I was like, I love this. Yes, this is it. Yes. This is foolproof. There are no holes to this plot.
When we did our Wes interview like 3 months ago, he was already done with the whole season 3 filming process, and they just went and started filming maybe 2 weeks ago. So I love a conspiracy, but I got to break this one.
I liked that theory, because again, like, they've had people, remember when Nicole, and it was a bummer in the stupid finale with the sword fighting and the stupidness, was like, I broke my foot, like was limping and stuff. And it was like, if it wasn't for my foot, but like they didn't send her home.
Right. But she still got to play. So
see, after she hurt her knee, it's like a broken toe is, it seems silly. And again, it was like, but oh no. And then she left. I agree with you, Jenna. It was weird.
I feel like there's too many shades of gray for like what disqualifies someone injury related and what does not, because I feel like in the past, like, people have competed when they maybe shouldn't have continued to compete, but they let them stay for whatever reason. And I'm not sure.
Okay. Conspiracy theory. Maybe they were like, Veronica, your toe is broken. If you think you can win this, you can stay in. Otherwise, we could cast you in 38 and you can rest your toe for 3 months.
Sam keeps trying to make 38.
I wonder, it was just black and blue though, right? Ladies, what you saw was a black and blue toe, correct? All I saw was black and blue.
I have had a broken toe where they say, you have a broken toe. You don't like get a cast. Like, it's broken.
You just wait it out.
Right, wait it out. It's a toe.
It seemed like it was her big toe though, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that's more if it was like a middle finger toe. I don't know. I'm just wondering.
It's probably horrible, but she wasn't complaining about it. She was walking fine. I don't know. It's illegal. I'm sure it's a legal insurance thing, but it almost feels like, I wonder if it's one of those injuries where they allow the competitor to choose, but I don't think they can. It's a TV show, so any sort of, it's also how the evolution of getting kicked out for violence has grown. Like, it used to be, you could literally like push someone and stay and it was fine. And now it's like, you get a tiny little,
you throw water on somebody.
You throw water and you're out. It's crazy. Yeah.
And it's also arbitrary. Like they will decide, oh, well, Fessy can stay, but
Well, that's why it's the shades of gray. It's not black or white. It's insane. They don't have a written system. They're just like, whatever we feel like today. Are we in a good mood, bad mood, whatever mood? But it's official. The treehouse is definitely falling, as Kayla says. So, ladies, I wanted to ask you about the stars. Wes brings it up tonight. Wes thinks it's going to have something to do with the finals where you can like push people back the more stars, like throw a ninja star at this person, throw a ninja star at this person and make them lose time or whatever. Maybe that is it. I think that's not a bad guess, though. It probably has something to do with delaying penalties on people in the final, I think, for sure.
Or, yeah, I mean, sabotaging, to Wes's point, has been a constant theme throughout this game. So I wonder if they just elaborate on that in the final and make it even more intense. I don't know. I almost don't want to know. I almost don't want to predict. I almost just want them to throw something at us and we roll with it. And I hope it's better than anything I could imagine. So we'll see. But yeah, the stars seems to, it causes, it's like when they had the season with the skulls. Everybody waits until the last moment to realize how important they are. But I kind of thought it was funny. So when Wes is plotting with Nehemiah, saying, we need to go in there, you and I, if we want to, Nehemiah's like, fuck it.
Well,
really
Nehemiah was like, I'm not going to potentially blow the whole thing to like potentially get some stars, you know, that we don't know what they do.
But I mean, but at this point, it's so late in the game. I mean, you're potentially going in no matter what. There's only one person that's up there that's not going in, and that's the guy that won, Mark, and then Wes, who just lucked out because, and he wanted to go down there. Wes wanted to go down there and prove himself. And I have a huge conspiracy coming up for this elimination, by the way, that breaks the mold of all these things that producers have told us in the past. So I'm very excited to get to that. That's a teaser right there.
Nice tease. Well, on the thought about Wes and Nehemiah and they're plotting and Brad comes over and Wes is so aggressively campaigning for himself to go in so he can get stars, I'm kind of wondering like what psychological tool he's using here, because then he also flips it and says, if I get these stars, I'm gonna mess you up. I'm gonna F you all up. And it's like, so now you're kind of threatening them, saying that you're gonna be really aggressive and powerful with the stars. So do you want to go in or do you don't?
Right.
Because
so that was my original thought, Jenna, is that he doesn't really want to go in. So he's gonna say he wants to go in, but then say, hey, when I get back with all these stars, I'm going to destroy everybody to try to get out of going into elimination. But then by the end, it seems like he really wants to go down there and just get all the stars. I didn't know what Wes was going for in this episode. It looked like he wanted both things. I was confused for sure.
Well, you guys, Wes has absolutely no need for the money. No need for
He let us know that tonight.
He let us know that with Wes. He's like, I'm just here for the trophy. I mean, again, that's just silly. It's like
he let us know. He let Bananas know that in Rivals 2 back in the day as well. I've got 7 businesses. I've got 3 cars. I've got a motorcycle. What do you have? Yeah, him and CT went at Bananas hard in that fight.
Yeah, he told us no need for the money. So I guess you're going to make big moves, but you don't know what the stars are. So you can't threaten your use of them when you don't know what they're used for. I mean, it makes a certain amount of sense what he's suggesting, but we don't know.
Well, let's get in. Oh, Jenna, you had one more thing to say?
Well, there's concrete knowns about Wes. We know he's calculated. We know he thinks 3 steps ahead, and we know that he does always know what he wants. So that's why I'm curious which psychological tool he's using there, because he knows what he wants and how to get it. But so I'm confused whether that was going in or not going in, because when he starts to flip it and say, I'm going to mess you guys up when I get these stars, it has me thinking like, I don't think he actually wants to go in, because now he's threatening everybody. He would know better to lay low and allow.
I was fine with that. If that's the move he wanted to make, where he says, I want to stay out of it, but I'm going to like try to trick. I was like, oh, that's a fun play. I like the play. But then at the end, it seems like he definitely wants to go down there and take Derek's stars. So I was like, well, maybe he had a change of heart overnight. I don't know, but he's playing both sides of the fence, or he's sitting on the fence really. And I was like, well, how do you play a game where you're sitting on the fence? Choose a side and go for it.
I guess
was confused.
I want to know his logic behind it. I would like to,
Yeah.
for that.
Well, we'll have to check out his Patreon that he does every week with his
Oh.
wife, and
Maybe he can throw us a few
feel
bucks
that
for
out.
a plug. Go
Yeah.
check out Wes's Patreon.
We'll watch yours.
Buy my Starbucks tomorrow.
Jenna, you convinced me though. Now I think you're right. I didn't quite follow that as hard, but now I believe that you are correct, because if he did really in his heart of hearts want to go down, he would have. He could have. It's like you didn't say no, I'll go instead.
But he couldn't have, though, because no one wanted to put him down there and give him those stars, or give him a chance at the stars.
I'll go for Nehemiah if he really wanted to. If Derek said, but I want Nehemiah, he could have been like, you know what, I want to go. They wouldn't have said no.
Wait, yes, they would have. Wait, what?
Yeah, I think Mark was always going to choose Derek to go
Right.
down, because Derek was always going to be picked by whoever was sent down. So
correct, because Wes isn't going to choose Nehemiah or Brad. He's only left is Derek. So Mark gave Derek the best opportunity to at least see what the hell was down there. And it's a pole wrestle, but we'll get into that in a little bit. The challenge of the night is flight pattern. And yeah, they all have to jump out of a helicopter and solve a pretty basic 9-cube puzzle, I guess, but it's not even a puzzle. It's just a pattern. You have to just put it the same on the thing. What did you think of this? Because I'm a little unclear. I understand how Kellyanne lost, but I almost want to say it's bullshit. I understand there was a red line. I know it was turned 90 degrees. John A was in that water way too long to ever win. The only reason she did win is because she's literally the only one that got the pattern correctly in the proper way. But technically, I didn't like that John A was able to win. I don't think she deserved to win, if I'm being honest.
I was thinking something similar from the second they introduced the game of this challenge. And I actually paid attention to the instructions this time, because I always black out whenever.
Tell me what the instructions were. Did they mention this red line? Because I didn't hear any of that.
I don't remember the red line, but so maybe I wasn't paying attention.
Jenna,
Thanks for the call out, Dan. But what I was gonna say before being called out for maybe actually not paying attention was the difficulty from the beginning I caught on to looking down at this puzzle, depending on how the plane is rotating or what angle you're looking at it, couldn't technically the top left side be a different side depending on how you're viewing the puzzle. So when you get down there, it's like when I was in the air, it looked like red was the top left, but now that I'm here, it's actually red was the bottom right. And I was looking at it at a different angle.
That's why they had the red line to indicate. It's like Uno. We played Uno in the past 20 years. 6 and 9, like you have a line under to show you which direction you have to hold. So no matter what, if the red line's on the bottom, it doesn't matter which direction.
Right. You just have to memorize from below the red line. Yeah.
If the red line is the top or the bottom, it's still going to be.
And I believe the red line was the top.
Yes.
It was the red line and then the 9 cubes below.
So if it did indeed, which I had a blackout during the explanation of the game.
I was hoping you could save us. I was going to say, do you remember this red line being explained?
I honestly think he mentioned the red line, but they didn't air that for us to see, because then maybe, honestly, I don't know. I have a conspiracy that Kellyanne actually won the damn thing and they didn't want it.
Because her response to finding that out was like, I didn't follow the damn directions, which were probably quite clearly, you're looking at a square, you're going to be in the air. So the bottom is the red line. And that's the way you need to do the pattern, because otherwise they could have had a bunch of different versions of it. I mean,
regardless, that still does add that extra step of it being difficult, because again, you can look at the red line and you can look at the red line as being on top of the puzzle, to the right, to the bottom, to the left, and then you get there and it is on top, and now you have to remember the puzzle from a different vantage point than when you saw it. So regardless of, it still makes it hard.
Yeah, she didn't follow the directions though. If those were the real directions, I'm leaning that was really what happened, but I
believe it.
Seeing John A in the water that long and seeing like she didn't understand the concept of jumping out probably closer. I think she jumped out because it was circling in a circle. All she had to do was wait another 180 degrees till she was further on her side of the thing, because she was the only one that it seemed like got lost in that water for quite some time.
And she jumped out too soon is what, again,
I don't understand. I didn't understand where the thing was. The helicopter was circling. I didn't really know when the proper time was to jump out. Right. So it was kind of hard to tell when they should have jumped out or not, but everyone else seemed to jump out at the proper time except her.
I think it was one of those, I'm guessing, because again, I can't follow these things until they start going, but I'm guessing it was one of those things where it's bringing you and you've got until there, until a certain line to jump off, and she jumped off way too early. So
It looked like you just did this though, Pamela. Circle, circle, circle. They both jump out, and then it goes away later after they both already jumped. So I thought it was more of she jumped out here instead of here, so she had to swim all that back.
I don't know.
But whatever.
No,
whatever. We can talk about Nia not jumping at all and what that meant. She gets a free walk to the next part of the game. Congratulations, Nia. And you didn't even have to you didn't have to get wet that day. Like, she didn't do this game she should go. That should mean she goes directly into elimination. They changed the rules. We talked about it last week. What does this mean for her not jumping if she decides not to jump? Apparently, it means you get a free pass to the next round. Same complaint I had about John A in the final last year. Same concept, right? Free pass to the next round.
Didn't, crap out. She just had never wound up being in a.
No, I mean, in the final, her and MJ never had to finish part one of the final. They just let him go to the next one because the other people crapped out. Right.
Right. But they didn't. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Make them finish it no matter what, whatever.
Well, I think this is what happens when the rules of the daily challenge aren't established, that whoever loses or DQs, it automatically goes in. Now it's a voting system. So whether that's better or worse for the entertainment value or the politics of it, because you could argue that the voting is maybe more exciting than someone DQing and having to go straight into elimination. But I'm always a fan of, if you're in last place that day, or if you DQ, you have to go in, because sometimes some of the best people are last. And then that means that you have like a Derek or a John A in the elimination just because they performed poorly at the challenge. So I'm always in favor of that, but they didn't establish that. That wasn't any part of the season. So I guess they leave it up to a voting system here. So that's why Nia, her deciding not to compete doesn't have any ramifications.
And let me throw this at you ladies. How do you feel about them saying, oh, and whoever wins this is going to get all of Veronica's stars? No.
Yeah, I was like, ooh, more at stake. I thought.
Well, I was like, ooh, more at stake, but you get them regularly when you win an elimination, not a daily challenge. So I didn't like that, but whatever.
I want to piggyback on Jenna's conspiracy and
jump on
further that conspiracy.
Come on,
Maya. That one, I don't care, because if she. My theory, ultimately, that the base of my theory that it's all standing on is, it doesn't really matter to me because Nia's not going to win. So with that as the base, I'm saying then I don't care, because it was sort of always going to be, once John A won, the battle of Kellyanne versus Kayla. And it would have been really horrific, though, if she picked Nia and just out of sheer size, Nia won this one and sent home one of the best players. So I'm saying it's good that Nia just like, oh, leave me out of this vote, isn't involved, because
like it almost cancels itself out. It's almost a wash.
Right.
Why are you so certain she want to win today?
Because she hasn't performed for shit on anything at all. At once this whole elimination, she's a lot bigger than them. So like she'll win against one of those skin and muscle girls she outweighs them by, literally, did you see the picture she posted? It's really funny. She's like, who needs a treehouse when you're the tree? It's like her standing next to the other three girls. And like, she's like 6 feet taller than them. Like,
so you know what that might mean? That she is longer stride. She can swim and get to the platform quicker.
No, I'm just saying she's not going to beat them in a finale. Both those girls are like, athletes, and she's like, yeah, I'm here and I love Jordan.
Let's be honest. In the original challenge, Nia never performed well, right? Like, she didn't do anything, but neither did John A. But John A is performing better now, whatever. But Kellyanne and Kayla, they always held their own on the original challenge. So I'm more confident in them doing better than Nia, or I guess John A is proving himself more now. I think John A is just really good at puzzles. And you know what? The challenge is becoming more puzzle heavy as the years go on. So it's definitely working in her favor. Plus they're like, we need to make this more puzzle heavy, because these people are old. They're going to freaking die on our show. I don't think so. And there you go.
You're not going to have people that are 40 plus run through the desert a la war.
Yeah, and like, remember when Leroy and all them had to go from car to car to car, like up in the air? They're not going to do that to these. They can't physically do it. A lot of these people, they can't do it. They're too old.
They might secretly be pregnant, and also
Well, maybe not that anymore. They're a little too old for that, possibly. But yeah.
Remember Georgia, and she was in shape, like passed out and died.
Oh, she collapsed in the desert next to her bike. Yeah.
So it's like, Georgia's a little in shape girl who, like, you know, you have to have the puzzles mixed with the other things, and I like it because you can't. You're also not, again, back to the Anissa of it all. You can't win any of these things if you don't have some. This harkening back to my theory of, I'd be like, well, I don't want to be everyone's fight to be in the finale. It's like, nah, I'm cool. Like, I'd like to last and get my weekly and then go home, because it's like, I'm not going to win it. I don't want to run like in the desert and like the sheep eyeball, like if I'm not going to ultimately win. And I'm not. Like, I know that. So it's like, if you're not going to win, why would you want to put yourself through that? Like, for hell, unless you have a chance of winning. So
and it totally makes sense from a human perspective, but as we've seen, the show suffers because of it. Like, the stories suffer because you have those people that are clearly just either like skating by or like aren't doing enough, and they don't want to compete. They get mad when they have to go in, and it annoys us because you can tell starts to become very obvious that they're there just to collect. And it's like, why are they here? You know, you're just here for a weekly paycheck. And the challenge used to be like a ruthless, cutthroat challenge show. And now it's just kind of like you have a mix of people who care and who don't.
Well,
but
speaking,
I was actively trying to go home today without quitting.
Speaking of not winning and skating by, we have Nehemiah, who tells us tonight, Pamela, you're wondering why he wasn't shown on the show this whole season. He was purposely laying low all season and just not winning any of the challenges so that he could make it to this point. And he said, hey guys, but now's my time to shine. And guess what? He still didn't win tonight. Do you believe any of what he said?
Wait, he was being sarcastic, right?
It sounded when he talked in that confessional, to me, it sounded like he was being dead serious. He purposely was skating by so that he could now perform well in this final challenge, whatever this thing was, flight pattern, and he still lost flight pattern. So we don't know if he wins the elimination. Maybe he does, whatever. We'll find that out next week. But
I have a spin zone in Nehemiah's defense. That is a strategy that people have done in the past.
So did he really purposely lay low all season to not win? Because he didn't want to create any issues with the authority, is what he was saying. So he purposely didn't win. So he never had to be in the authority. He never had to make any waves. Pamela does not believe it. Jenna, you believe it. It looks like.
Okay, so I see what you're saying. That's a good valid point for him. Your perception is that he just performed poor enough to never be in a position of power, and you're saying no, you just aren't that good and you lose.
You suck. Right.
Okay, that can be totally fair. However, I do believe that maybe he is trying to fly under the radar purposely because he's attached to Wes and he's attached to Brad, two very strong guys. People that he was previously aligned with, Cyrus and Laterian, went home early. Melinda, not on this season.
She got injured, didn't she?
Right, sorry, she was. I thought so. And then she left so early. So all these other people, he doesn't have any numbers. So I understand. To your point, you made it more clear that, he probably still should have tried and won some of these to be in a position of power. So maybe that part is obviously fabricated and fraudulent. But I do think we've seen him in the past when he's had the numbers, when he had King's Palace. We've seen him kind of have the puff of his chest sort of attitude. And now he is, in my opinion, definitely taking more of a passive backseat role. So I think there is some truth to that too.
I don't believe that he didn't win anything on purpose as far as
I figured you wouldn't believe it, Pamela.
As far as I could throw Naya, and solely for his walk down to elimination, I hope he doesn't win.
Oh, I hated that. That was so obnoxious.
Why am I like?
And I think he's Sylvia. I think he's a Sylvia that is fine and loud with numbers, but like take away his numbers and he's mediocre.
I don't mind you. I think that's a good comparison.
Yeah,
I do.
fine, and they get real loudmouthed when they've got a Wes behind them or a someone, you know, they'll really beat their chest.
I mean, I should look up Nehemiah's track record while Jenna gives her side of the story.
Well,
She's going to
no,
go the
my side of the
opposite way
story
here.
is yes, that I think that he is not an outstanding competitor. He's not anybody that wows you. He's typically mediocre or maybe below that in the regular challenges. However, I tend to just have been really enjoying him this season. And I don't think he's anywhere as unlikable as Sylvia. I think that, to me, I actually like Nehemiah. And what we've seen at this elimination, I was really, really impressed by him. I thought for sure Derek was going to win. And now that we go into the cliffhanger, I'm kind of like, I don't know.
I'll say this. They hype it like Nehemiah is like Wes, what he's saying, like, you got him now. They hype it like Nehemiah's got this in the bag. I think it's going to swing the other way and Derek wins. But his walk down to elimination, he's doing it not. He's trying to be cocky, but he's also trying to cover up how friggin' scared he is to go against Derek. That's how I viewed it personally.
Also, imagine, I mean, we all take to things differently. Derek literally said, I want to go the easiest route.
He did.
I want to go against the easiest person.
Not a brain. Like, I think in his head, honestly, he was thinking, sorry, because first I have to say, I also don't hate Nehemiah as a person. Just whenever he gets, I just don't like, and I like him a lot more than Sylvia. I agree. He's like a sweet person that in real life. I just, when he tries to show his bravado, it just rubs me
it rubs me the wrong way as well.
Like, it's not cute. You know, I think he takes his cues from obnoxious Wes, but it's like, you don't have that sort of obnoxious show naturally. So it just comes off weird, like awkward, instead of, it's like, because I don't think Nehemiah is obnoxious. So when he tries for like obnoxious cocky, it's like, eek. It just.
Yeah, I typically don't love when people showboat at all, but for some reason I didn't mind it here because he did get called out and called down for being the easiest and the weakest. So you might as well have a little bit of swag or a little bit of confidence.
But let's break down Derek's words though. Was Derek wrong with what he said?
I don't like Derek's choice of words either. I think Nehemiah said every time he speaks, it's word pollution or noise pollution. I would have also, now breaking this down, I also would have like come out there like, you think I'm nothing? Fuck you. So I'm like in my head.
Yes.
My response to that, I understand that Derek meant I could go against Wes, who's arguably one of the best top two players here, or Nehemiah, who hasn't shown us much.
Or Brad. He also had Brad there.
Right, Brad and
you don't want to go against Brad. You don't want to go against Brad. He's an animal down there.
Wes and Brad, give me a break. So I think for Derek, it did come out wrong. I don't think he meant the easy choice like Nehemiah, so easy. I just think if you have to go between Wes, Brad, or Nehemiah does become the easy choice.
So he said the word that we were all thinking, but he had the balls to say it out loud. Now go down there, Derek, and beat the easiest guy like you said you were going to do. And I think we're going to see Derek come out. I mean, this is my guess, my prediction. I think Derek's going to pull this off. They left that cliffhanger way too positive on Nehemiah's side. Just like last week when they were like, we all thought that Nia was going to have to go home for being in that helicopter. Nope. They swung it the other way, and it was Veronica with a toe injury that they showed for 2 seconds last week to tease it a little bit. And someone in our chat, our comment section, they figured it out. They said, I bet it's Veronica because they mentioned that her foot hurt. And why would they randomly say that her foot hurt and then never talk about it again? Makes zero sense. Someone called it out in the chat. I should find out who that was, but props to them, whoever it was.
And I do think Nehemiah was the best, easiest choice. Derek is completely fair. And, you know, maybe sometimes people just need to hear that, you know, maybe Nehemiah needed the wake up call. If Derek says, okay, like you're the easiest one. However, I'm not saying Derek's wrong, but I'm not saying Nehemiah's wrong and also feeling like now he needs to show up and show out. So I can understand how those words would affect him in a way to be like, okay, well, now you're bringing it out of me because it's lighting up a fire. Now he's pissed off. So I totally see where he's coming from too.
I agree. I credit this to Derek having like no couth in his deliveries of speeches, even though I love him. I think he's adorable, but the better way to have said that would be Brad's giant. I've been playing with him. He's a beast. I'm not going to pick him. I can't pick Mark. Wes and he's beat me at this before.
And he should have said, I don't want to go 0-2 to Wes. He's what he should have said. I don't want to go 0-2 to Wes. I can't have that on my record at Stain. And then
in a insulting, frankly, way that, again, I think we all understood that Nehemiah is the easy choice, not because he sucks necessarily, but the other two choices are much worse. So, but again,
real quickly before we leave Nehemiah here, he appeared on 4 seasons of the original challenge. He had 5 daily wins and he was 6-3. Oh no, I'm sorry. He went to 6 eliminations and he was 3-3. So as you can see there, that's a very 500 record.
I almost don't even.
He won the Gauntlet 3. That's all
world.
What's that, Jenna?
I said I almost don't really love stats in the challenge world.
I think some of them hold true, though. I mean, I think Pamela and I just said he's a very average player. He went 3-3 in eliminations. I mean, that right there is a little proof.
Yeah.
And he won the Gauntlet 3, but was the Gauntlet 3 a partner? I don't remember what the Gauntlet 3 was. Was it a group win? Because those are easier to win instead of the individual or partner ones, just saying. So we could look that up. Please tell us in the comment section below what the hell the Gauntlet 3 was. Was it a big group one? Because they had like the red and blue team and like 8 people win. It's like weird.
Yeah, I agree, Jenna, with you though, unless they're like extreme. Like there are certain people that are like challenge beasts or like elimination beasts and like they almost always win and you don't want to go get, unless it's extreme, I feel like, all right, whatever. Most people fall into the average category. Unless they don't.
Yeah, they definitely hold truth. I can't even really articulate as to why I don't love stats in the challenge world, but for some reason I just don't, for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe because it's also a reality TV show and not like the NBA. I don't know. But that's not, it's just I just have an icky feeling about it, but it definitely does hold truth. If somebody wins 9 eliminations and lost 1, then that's like, wow, yeah, they have.
Like then they're
it, they're great.
See, it's funny. You have the response to it because like you care about stats in real athletics. And I don't know what any of that means. So I'm like, it's all nonsense. It's like who won Light Bright that time? Like it's almost the toss of the coin. So unless you're so consistently,
there's that too.
It's literally a flip of a coin, and it's so random. Unless you've been in 30 and you've won 25, then I'm going to start to say there's something.
But still, Devin used that as motivation going into other seasons and confession. He said, "I've already beat Wes and Bananas and Darrell, whoever he beat. He named all the big dudes he's beat in eliminations, even though they're so chancy. He's still peacocked around about it."
You're proving my point. We still all know that's like Naya's a champ now. Naya beat all the other girls in the house. Now she made it to a final. Like, no, she didn't fucking do shit. It just sort of chanced that she,
Right,
well, it's all about what she does in the final, though. Too.
Yeah. And Derek,
that's what I'm saying. It's not like a sports game where you show up, you play the same game with the same rules every time, and these are the stats accordingly.
Right.
It's like you show up and you could say that you've been to 3 finals, but maybe you got there because people wanted you there because they think they can beat you there.
Absolutely.
So there is like they get a little bit wishy-washy, but at the same time, I appreciate someone who's gone into elimination so many times and has won more than they've lost, and it could prove that you're well-rounded, right? Because some of them are puzzles, some of them are muscles, some of them are brawn. So I don't know, that's just, I'm back and forth on it.
I think we're all saying the same thing, that like basically challenge statistics are kind of nonsense unless they're super large, what's the word?
If they work for my argument, Pamela, they're huge. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right, exactly. If I can use them, then they count. I want to talk about the women's politics because so Janae, she can only choose between 3 people to throw in, and I guess I'm trying to figure out why she chose Kayla. But my idea of the strategy is you don't really want Naya to go down there, because you don't want her to be a certain competitor. Like you don't want her to be an absolute to go into the elimination. One, because she's probably your best bet to beat in a final, and two, because she has the most stars. So whoever's going against her, if they win, they get her stars, which hurts you, John A. So I understand that, but I'm kind of thinking Kayla and Kellyanne, if John A picks them, then they're very likely to pick Naya because because she has the stars and they want them. So it's just kind of like, it feels like a gamble no matter what. You just have to pick either Kayla or Kellyanne.
Well, I think you don't pick Naya, like you said. You don't care. You want to see her you want her to make it at the end because you think you can beat her. And then you don't choose Kellyanne. You don't choose Kellyanne because she's your biggest enemy. You don't want to give her the advantage going into the elimination. So your only person left is Kayla. You still kind of want to work with her. You give her the say, you say, hey, Kayla, she already said it was okay to pick her. Plus, you give her the benefit of knowing what the game is so she can choose between Naya and Kellyanne. So Kellyanne's the bottom of your list. You don't give a shit about Naya. And then you're actually helping Kayla at this point. There's only so many people left. Someone has to go down there. So I
guess I was just kind of curious because at this point I hadn't seen that the line was so drawn in the sand between John A and Kellyanne. Like I thought they got along just fine, but she kind of flips to the making fun of Kellyanne behind her back.
She flips to the treehouse side. I think that I'm not sure. I do still think Kellyanne is a great competitor. So I'm really excited to see how this elimination ends next week.
I think that Janae, because I don't think she's enemies with Kellyanne at all. I just think that because they tied for third, I just say have Kellyanne, whoever the two, those girls, Kellyanne and
you got it, Pam. Kayla
and Kellyanne, let the two strongest players take each other out. Like whatever, win-win.
Well, it worked out well because that's just because Kayla was actually afraid of Naya. She admitted, Kayla says, I'm not afraid of anybody, but she admits she's afraid of Naya. Yeah.
I would sure as hell not pick Naya in that, her size. And also, that girl has a background in fights.
We've seen it on the Real World and the challenge.
Yes. Hell yeah. She knows what to do in one-on-one combat.
Yeah. Those girls are so skinny. Kayla and Kellyanne you saw Kellyanne doing her yoga tonight. She's a skinny little thing.
But her arms are really strong.
No, I was going to say that too. I think they both have like about the same body type. I think Kayla's a little thicker than her. If you can use thicker as a word for that, they're both skinny, but
she has an inch. I think she has an inch on Kellyanne. Yeah. And she has a little bit more, maybe like meat.
Yeah.
A little bit, but I must admit, I'm really nervous about this elimination because I think Kellyanne is strong, but I think Kellyanne might psych herself out. There's just something, I have a little bit of bad vibes going into this for Kellyanne for some reason, and I don't want to, but I'm
let me ease your mind a little bit, Jenna, with this. I think Kellyanne psychs herself out on puzzles. I think when it's down to like the needy and greedy of it all, and you're just in the trenches, I don't think there's time for her to overanalyze. I think it's fight or flight. I think that she's a fighter in that regard. Like you see her when she makes it and she just has to run for 8 hours, she goes into a robot and just runs. She's not scared to do that part of it.
Yeah, but running is different than wrestling someone. I just don't know. It's
so fast though. There's no time to overanalyze. You just fight. But
I almost feel like Kayla might have a little bit more of like a mental edge when it comes to violence.
Violence?
More aggressive.
Like being aggressive.
Yes, more aggressive, more killer instinct, she's more aggressive in general. So it's like that. I don't know if Kellyanne can turn it on and fight, but like muscles, because you do like self-contained, like Pilates and stuff, versus like Kayla looks stronger, just because like, I don't know. I agree.
But Jenna just mentioned Kellyanne's arms, so who knows?
No, I think in matter of strength, Kellyanne totally has it, but it's being able to know how to move your body in that way. And I'm not saying that Kayla.
I think Kayla is a little bit bigger. I think that will help her in this fight for sure.
More killer instinct.
Yeah, I've never seen Kellyanne in a scenario like this. Like we see her being like cardio endurance queen, like being really good at doing things when she can just be in her own lane, but not like putting her hands on someone, you know? So I'm nervous for her. But at the same time, even though I feel like Kayla maybe has a little bit more of that edge, I also think she's nervous too. I
Sure.
feel like I see her standing there kind of like, and she's kind of done that in other eliminations. I think she has a little bit of self-doubt too when it comes to this stuff. So I think they're both psyched out to go against each other. They both know that
Yeah.
they're equally strong.
I want to say this. I don't deal with spoilers. I don't look them up. I would never do that because I don't want to ruin my natural thoughts on this wonderful after show that we do here on the YouTube. But I was on like one of the MTV T pages. Okay. And it's not there's no way this gives anything away, but it says that Kayla and her husband, they bought a second house. And I thought to myself, how the hell do you afford a second house? Do you win All-Star Season 3?
Where's the house?
I didn't look into it. I just saw they bought a second house. They held up keys and they were.
If it's in Missouri.
Well, I'm just saying. So I'm like, well, where do you get the money to?
Professionally, and buying a second house means like to flip for their career or something. Like, who knows what that means?
But if it's to buy one house, I get it. You can get but to buy a second house, I'm like, holy shit, where'd you get that money? I'm just saying, maybe she won the challenge.
She does have a good chance at winning.
Damn.
But depending on where.
I'd be so heartbroken.
Why you want Kellyanne to win, Jenna?
I want to see Kellyanne prevail in a moment like
I
this.
do too. I want Kellyanne to win this. And I want Derek to win on the other side. Before we end this evening, I need to get to my conspiracy of the elimination, of course. A producer a couple years ago appeared on the Tori and Anissa show, and he said that all the eliminations are planned out ahead of time. And no matter what, Pamela and Jenna, that they go in the order throughout the entire season. Well, how convenient this week that when it's Derek's choice to choose to go into an elimination in a pole wrestle against a rival from like 16 years ago that he lost to in a pole wrestle, that pole wrestle is the elimination tonight and not something else. Because my thought was, how hard can it be to throw a stick in the middle of a sandy ring with two piles of fire on the side and have that be the elimination? They can set this up at a moment's notice. So the fact that it's it happened to be pole wrestle when Derek gets to pick Wes to have a rematch, I don't believe it. Dan's Conspiracy Corner right there for you. They put it down there on purpose. It was not in the proper order.
Yeah, I think that there's absolutely truth to what you're saying, because nothing in reality TV is like absolutely real, and things in TV production change on the snap of a finger, and they manipulate everything. But just, I don't know, playing devil's advocate a little bit, I also think with eliminations, there's probably got to be stunt coordinators or like game people, medical staff, there's kind of certain things that they probably do have to prepare for. And I'm sure a lot of that stuff is scheduled in terms of logistics. Like, how much time do we have to set up the elimination tonight? Are we able to hang this weight? Are we able to set up this puzzle? Or do we just need to throw like a stick in the ground and have them fight over it? So I'm sure, or, do we have like the best stunt coordinators with us today? Can we do the elaborate fire breathing dragon in the ring tonight? Like, I'm sure that there are a lot of certain logistical parameters that they have to meet schedule wise. So that's probably why they schedule things out ahead of time. However, for a moment like this, for storytelling, for something like this, it's easy to throw a stick in the middle of the thing. So whatever they had planned previously, they can strip away like the night before and
that's what I wonder, because when does Derek and Kayla, when do they find out they're going down into that to go down there? A day before, or is it the morning before? Like, producers I feel like producers have enough time to break something down and reset something up if they had it all planned ahead. I mean, and like we said, it's a pole wrestle. It's not a contraption down there with pulley systems.
From cars in the sky. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was when I saw it, and I said, oh my God, I remember so vividly in the duel or the duel 2, whenever the hell that Wes went against him. And when Wes beat him, Wes called Johanna, his current fiance or girlfriend on the phone and said, I literally can't feel my body. I'm so dead right now. I don't know where I am. It literally took the life out of me, that pole wrestle against Derek. Watch it. Go back and watch it. He says he was literally drained from it. It was a big moment in reality TV back in the day. So, and Wes was playing that season so that he could start a life with Johanna at that time. He wanted to buy a house with her, and he wanted to get married to her. He wanted to pay for all these things. That was it's a huge moment in time. And now, of course, they are not very far away from being together. So, any other thoughts on the arena? I don't want to skip over anything. We don't get to see much of it. Obviously, everything is a cliffhanger for next week.
Can you believe they did a cliffhanger? I couldn't believe it. I was like shocked when the titles rolled. I was like, wait, what? I
think because what they're doing is next week will be episode 9, and then episode 10 will be the finale, and that is it. So they needed to stretch a little bit into 9 somehow. I
was like, how disrespectful you do that to me. How disrespectful you make good television.
Yeah, but I think also maybe we get part 1 of the final next week and then part 2 in episode 10. That was my other prediction, because I don't think we're going to get a reunion. Maybe episode 11 is a reunion. Actually, that could be right. But I think maybe it's part 1. I think we finish this one and they go right in the finale next week, part 1, another cliffhanger, and then part 2.
One of my favorite things is watching Pam's facial expressions
when I say random crap.
She's registering things.
My final thought that I was during the arena was Wes's shit talk was like serious. He's like, end him, Nehemiah.
Yeah.
Make it so he has no family to go back to.
Was Nia saying some crazy stuff too? Or was that just me?
It was some shit, but not like, at least not that I registered, was like
she
Wes.
Did, yeah.
I thought Nia said some crazy shit too.
I heard break his, and I didn't know she was saying just break his shit. You know how we say like mess his shit up, like break his shit, or if she said break his chin, maybe.
No, I think she said break his shit. I think she used I think she said it.
Okay.
Because they don't have to bleep anything out on Paramount Plus, which is nice. We actually know what they're swearing about finally.
Yeah. Wait, but Pam, you are so right. And I was gonna bring it up, but then I didn't, because I bet that Wes is embarrassed about saying this because he basically killed off Derek's family.
Right. He's like, end them. Like,
that was too much.
He's not gonna have a family to go back to. I'm like, okay, you're hurting the wrong people here.
Wes is also
don't hurt his family.
Yeah, Wes is such boys with Nehemiah. I think his
family's embarrassed. That's how I took it. And they leave him. Like, he destroy him so bad. They're like, we can't even be affiliated with that loss.
I don't know. I think that Wes is such boys with Nehemiah. He'll say anything to help Nehemiah win at this point. He's just trying to motivate him, but it's it's in a very negative, kind of disturbing way.
Yeah.
But hey,
he had one good pointer though, was that because you get so lost in the craziness of this being a pole wrestle, you forget that you actually have to be on your side of the circle because you have to set off, whatever,
your fire
or whatever. And I forgot that. So Wes was like, don't forget, like, lead him to your side of the circle, because even if you break the stick out of him, but you're closer to his, you then have to run to your side. He can tackle you. He can get the pull back. So part of it is also remembering the next step, So
which I like the added step. You have to run to your thing because they can still tackle you back down possibly. And as one last thing on Wes's language, I mean, I know this isn't the NFL, but I feel like we're being a little soft here because the stuff they don't show us, that the things that the players are saying to each other to motivate each other to go and destroy that other team, I bet is far worse than what Wes is saying. I know it's about family and stuff, but I mean, this is just like base level what the NFL is doing out there to motivate their players for sure.
It's just funny. I mean, not funny is not the right word, but it was just like, boy, like where did that come from?
He's treating it like the fifth sport, right? And we're looking at it as a reality show where, we feel like there's a line here that is being crossed. Yeah.
I
just felt like he just blurted something out.
Right. I almost do too.
He was just fired up. I think he was fired up for his friend. And I think there's part of him that I know we weren't sure what side he's on. I think he wants to be down there doing part two of the pole wrestle against Derek, having another rematch 16 years later. And you know what? Sadly, I think that's what producers wanted too. And they're like, damn, Derek did not have the balls to pull the trigger though.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
all right.
Can't really blame him though.
I don't blame him yet.
I guess final thought is, because I keep bringing it up and it's fun. Obviously, I go to sleep every night rewatching old seasons of the challenge. So
You really do, though.
I actually do. I actually have been. So I've been rewatching. Now I'm on Rivals, the very first Rivals. And I watched the second episode last night, and I don't know if you guys remember this, but their daily challenge was they had to sit on the lap of their partner in like a construction machine and flatten a car, pick up a car and push it under a bridge type
They
of.
had to make it underneath the bridge. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, wow, that's a really unique one. But I don't know if I would necessarily love it if it was on the show today, but the personalities then just make it fantastic to watch.
You need the personality. The personalities can turn throwing spaghetti against the wall to see if it sticks. If you have the right personalities of people doing that, super entertaining. And that's one of the things the challenge is lacking. They're like, we need more fires and more explosions because our personalities, they kind of suck and they're there for the followers. Different game, different
Rivals,
time.
it's when Adam and CT are together, and Kenny and Wes and Jasmine and Tyrese.
So good.
It's just amazing. Yeah.
Like Leroy and Mike. I remember like little Mike, right?
Little Mike. It's Leroy's first season.
Yeah,
It's just, it's
awesome. So good. I'd like to see that again.
Yeah, go watch it again so we can talk about it.
All right. Well, that about wraps up episode 8 of our All-Star season 3, Going Bananas. I mean, the episode was going bananas, but the fact that they put him in it, oh my God. Tell us in the comment section below how much hot garbage that scene was to watch. And hashtag bananas thong if you're still listening, because that's what we all got to see. Spoiler alert in this episode. Yeah, please comment, and hit us up on our Patreon at The Challenge Aftershow, or patreon.com/The Challenge Aftershow as well.
Yeah, so if you're not a Patreon, make sure and join Patreon so you can hear our news and gossip this week. And then you'll hear other stuff too that's super interesting. And
stay tuned, because we're going to be covering the Challenge CBS, which is coming out in the early July time, right after this ends. We're going to have the Challenge CBS. We're going to cover that. I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We know TJ, and that's about it, but that's okay. We're going to have all new friendly faces to learn.
We'll break it down on our Patreon, this week's Patreon. So if you want to know, you better join the Patreon.
Oh, wow. I mean, it's so much teasing you're throwing in there. All right. We'll see y'all next week. Bye-bye.